You did not find this video by chance. It did not appear on your screen as a simple coincidence, but as a call from the invisible field that weaves the fabric of reality. In this instant, as your eyes move across these words, the quantum vacuum, the cosmic womb where everything rests before being born, is collapsing signals within your own life. Nothing here is random. Every breath you take was already inscribed in the primordial silence between the universe's beats. You were selected, not by human choice, but by the universal consciousness that decides when the time has come for someone to remember what they already are. You feel this, a subtle restlessness, a sense that there is more beyond what your conventional senses can perceive. The mystery that brought you here is the same one that causes galaxies to expand ceaselessly. There is no separation. The same field that vibrates in the far reaches of the cosmos is now vibrating in you. The quantum vacuum is not empty. It is a matrix, an invisible womb. It is the place where particles dance on the border of being and non-being, emerging and disappearing like notes of a symphony that has not yet been played, but already exists whole in the cosmic score. It is there that everything rests before emerging. It is there that the invisible prepares to become form. This same space is inside you, waiting for you to awaken to the truth that silence is not absence, but presence in its pure state. Perhaps your life has been marked by pauses, solitude, or moments when everything seems suspended. Do not be mistaken. These pauses are not sterile voids, but the womb of the Creator inside you. It is in the interval between one breath and the next that the universe whispers its loudest decrees. It is in the stillness where nothing seems to move that the greatest shifts happen. Now understand, you are not just hearing words. You are receiving vibrational codes that were destined to find you. This transmission is the invisible canvas on which the painting of your new reality is already found. Each sentence is a thread pulling your consciousness beyond the veil of the ordinary. And the more you allow yourself to feel, the more the quantum field responds, because it does not distinguish between inside and outside. It merely mirrors frequencies. You have been called. The synchronicity that brought you here is proof that something greater has already moved in your favor. The call is not to believe in something external, but to remember what already pulses in your energetic DNA. You are part of the mystery, you are part of the matrix, and this moment will not be repeated in the same way. The portal is open, and to cross it is to recognize that there is no chance, but destiny vibrating in your direction. This is the beginning of your encounter with the creative vacuum, an encounter that does not ask for a rational explanation, but rather for surrender. For what is about to be revealed will not be understood by the mind that doubts, but by the heart that recognizes. And by listening to the end, you will realize that you are no longer the same person who began this journey. You have been called, and now you need to decide if you will answer. You must understand that what science calls the quantum vacuum is not a sterile nothingness, but a potential everything. The vacuum is not an absence, but an invisible fullness. There, virtual particles emerge and disappear in a silent ballet, like sparks that light up and go out on a stage without an audience, yet already loaded with the promise of entire universes. This space is the invisible womb that gestates galaxies, the belly from which every atom has already emerged, and to which it will return. Imagine the silence that precedes the first note of a symphony. It is a brief instant, but in it rests the totality of the music that is to come. Such is the vacuum, the silence before creation, the invisible canvas where the colors of reality are already mixed, ready to manifest when consciousness chooses to paint. It is not about emptiness, but about a creative matrix that pulses beneath all things. Spiritually, the vacuum reveals itself every time you enter moments of inner suspension. When life forces you to stop, when doors close without warning, when everything seems silent and immobile, it is there that you are closest to the creative womb. You call it loneliness, but the field calls it preparation. You perceive it as lack, but the vacuum weaves it as a beginning. Every pause in your life is a reflection of this field. It is the universal consciousness inviting you to feel that what seems to be absence is, in fact, the greatest sign of presence. Just as a seed needs to rest in the dark of the earth before bursting into a sprout, so too do you need to allow yourself silence for the new reality to germinate. The quantum vacuum is the fertile ground where your intentions rest until they become form. There is nothing more divine than recognizing that emptiness does not exist. What you call emptiness is just the human mind trying to measure what is immeasurable. Ultimately, what is at stake is the invitation to trust the invisible. For the quantum field always responds, not with immediate proofs to your eyes, but with frequencies that mold the invisible until the form appears. When you go through phases of silence, solitude, or suspension, remember, you are not standing still, you are being gestated. The universe has not abandoned you. It is preparing, something that can only be born in stillness. The vacuum is the womb that holds the invisible movements until it is time for manifestation. You do not need to fight against it, but merely to recognize its sacredness. If you dare to trust this space, you will discover that the vacuum is not an enemy, but an ally. It does not steal from you. It conserves what has not yet matured. It does not destroy. It reorganizes. The quantum vacuum is proof that what you call silence is filled with creation, and what you call emptiness is filled with life. In this moment, you are invited to reinterpret all your silences, all the pauses, all the nothings of your journey, because behind them is the vibrating field, the gestating vacuum, the consciousness awaiting only your permission to flourish. The awakening is not the moment you receive something new, but when you remember what has always been inscribed in your energetic field. It is not an addition, it is a remembrance. It is as if, amid the noise of the world, you begin to perceive a subtle frequency that has always been playing in the background, but which now becomes clear. You are an antenna, and you are already tuning into vibrations that few can capture. The awakening is simply the realization that you were never disconnected from the field, just distracted by external illusions. When your consciousness expands, you begin to perceive that your thoughts are not just internal echoes, but waves that resonate in the very fabric of the universe. Every emotion, every intention, every choice reverberates, like waves that spread in a silent lake. The quantum awakening is the instant you discover you are not a spectator, but a co-creator. You don't just observe reality, you collapse it with your attention, with your vibration, with your focus. This awakening does not happen uniformly for everyone. Each being experiences this remembrance in a unique way, although it is part of a collective movement. It is as if humanity were a constellation. Each star shines in its own time, but together they form a larger design, and you, upon awakening, fulfill your role in the great cosmic symphony, illuminating others around you, even without realizing it. However, awakening is also challenging. It displaces you from old certainties, deconstructs identities that seem solid, and invites you to enter a new vibration. It is like crossing a portal. On one side, the known narratives. On the other, an unprecedented landscape, still in gestation. This is why many feel dizzy, confused, or even afraid. But all of this are signs that the process is already in motion, and you are already within it. Before we continue, if this video is being helpful to you, please subscribe, leave a like, and comment below. This helps to further strengthen this transmission. By allowing this awakening, you begin to realize that your identity is not tied to social roles, memories, or past stories. You are more than all of that. You are expanding consciousness, moving energy, a field in constant resonance. The quantum awakening is the revelation that you are already part of the universal consciousness, and all you need is to remember this. In this moment, feel. Something in you already knows. Something in you already recognizes that this message is not new, but just a reminder. Like a bell that rings to wake up what was already alive, this transmission comes only to remove the veil. You are not becoming something. You are remembering what you always were. At the heart of quantum physics, there is a deep mystery: superposition. All possibilities coexist until a conscious look observes them and decides which one will be collapsed into reality. So too is your life. All versions of you already exist in the field. The one who remains in pain and the one who flourishes in abundance. The one who lives in fear and the one who walks in faith. The one who repeats old cycles and the one who breaks through to an unprecedented future. All possibilities are already here, awaiting your vibrational choice. Every thought you emit, every emotion you cultivate, every intention you strengthen is an act of observation that collapses a line of reality. Life doesn't happen to you, it responds to your frequency. It's as if you were in front of a cosmic screen where infinite movies have already been recorded, and your gaze chooses which one will be projected. In every instant, you are choosing, consciously or not, which world will become palpable. Imagine yourself at the event horizon of your own life, as if you were about to cross a portal. On one side, the old, familiar possibilities. On the other, the vibrant field of new realities awaiting only your focus. Just as the sun inevitably breaks through the night, your new reality is already approaching, but it needs your confident gaze to manifest. It is at this threshold that the mind usually gets agitated. It seeks external proofs, immediate signs, palpable guarantees. But the collapse of reality does not respond to linear logic. It responds to vibrational trust. You need to decide first, vibrate first, believe first, and then the field responds. The collapse is always from the inside out, never the other way around. The challenge of this process is precisely the crossing. To be between the old and the new requires courage. It's like walking on a bridge that disappears behind you and only builds itself as you take the next step. There are no visible guarantees, but there is an inner certainty that the field weaves as you advance. It is in this space that many give up, because they expect the form to appear before the faith. But the collapse requires the opposite, that faith precedes the form. The reality you desire already exists in superposition. What makes it palpable is your vibrational decision. If you remain fixed on the frequency of scarcity, the field collapses scarcity. If you sustain fear, the field manifests more fear. But if you dare to sustain confidence, surrender, and the vision of a different life, reality inevitably collapses in that direction. Now, the invitation is this: to dare to cross the portal without expecting it to already be open. The door opens when you decide to cross. The sun rises when you dare to believe that the night is not eternal, and the new reality is built when you keep your gaze fixed on what is not yet seen, but already exists. You are at the threshold of the collapse. Do not fear the transition, because the universe never fails to respond. The field is perfect in its synchrony, and the creative vacuum never leaves a sustained intention in the heart without an answer. The collapse is inevitable. The question is, what reality will you allow to become visible now? Whenever a new reality is about to emerge, resistance arises. It does not appear as an accident, but as part of the process. It is the last guardian placed at the door of transformation. When you feel intense doubts, inexplicable delays, distractions that drain your energy, sudden fatigue, or that paralyzing anxiety, do not think this means defeat. On the contrary, these are clear signs that you are close to the portal, so close that the guardians of the old frequency are trying to prevent your passage. Resistance is not an enemy. It is the final test, the dragon that guards the treasure. Every journey of transformation requires this trial by fire. Just as a hero in ancient stories must face the most feared creature before conquering victory, you need to cross the resistance before you anchor the new reality. It does not arise to destroy, but to verify if your decision is real or just a passing desire. When resistance appears, Your mind tries to convince you to return to the known comfort. The thought arises, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm dreaming too big. Maybe it's not for me. Realize, these are not truths. They are echoes of the old frequency trying to keep you stuck in the familiar. It is the gatekeeper of the old reality, asking if you really want to leave. The key is not to fight against resistance, but to observe it with consciousness. Just as a cloud crosses the sky without staying, let it pass. Do not feed the voices that say, it won't work out. Do not identify with the fatigue or the distraction. Just acknowledge, the resistance is here because I am on the verge of crossing. This simple change of posture already weakens the guardian. The metaphor is clear. The dragon does not guard the treasure to destroy the seeker, but to prove their courage. The gold is right behind it, waiting for the one who dares not to give up. So too, your new reality is just beyond the resistance, waiting only for you to cross it without giving in. Each time you stand firm, even amid doubts, you send an unequivocal message to the field. I have chosen, I sustain, I trust. And the field, which responds to frequencies and not words, begins to align reality with that choice. Resistance then loses its strength because it has fulfilled its role to test if the decision was firm. Remember, if you feel resistance, it is because you have already reached the threshold. It never presents itself at the beginning, but always, when change is near. Recognize it as a sign of proximity, not of distancing. Crossing this phase is crossing the door that separates the old from the new. So, when resistance knocks on your door, do not fear it. See in it the confirmation that you are on the right path. It is not proof of failure, but of progress. You are only in front of the dragon because the treasure is already yours. There is a subtle but decisive difference between desiring and receiving. Desire is born from effort, from the attempt to grasp what has not yet manifested. It is like trying to hold water with your hands. The more you squeeze, the more it escapes between your fingers. The energy of reception, on the other hand, does not seek to control. It opens up, like the river that simply flows towards the ocean, without effort, without haste, knowing that the path is already traced. Desire, when loaded with anxiety and lack, creates noise in the field. It vibrates the message that something is distant, inaccessible, separate from you. This vibration, even if unconscious, pushes away what you seek. The receptive energy, on the other hand, emits a completely different signal. It declares that it already is, that it already exists, that it is already available. This trust opens up space for the field to collapse reality with more clarity and speed. Metaphorically, desiring is like trying to force a radio station, spinning the dial in a hurry, generating static and interruptions. Receiving is simply adjusting the frequency with calm until the sound becomes crystal clear. There is no effort, just tuning in. You do not force the music to play, you just tune in and allow it to manifest. So it is in the quantum field. The more you let go, the more clearly the universe responds. The energy of reception is not passivity, but active trust. It is being in vibrational alignment with what already exists, instead of running after it as if it were unattainable. When you enter this posture, your energetic signature changes. You stop emitting the code of lack and start emitting the code of completeness. And it is this code that attracts, because the field always responds to what you vibrate, never to what you just ask for. Many confuse desiring with creating. They think that insisting mentally is the way. But at the quantum level, creation does not come from insistence, but from surrender. Those who try to control create noise. Those who surrender create harmony. It is like the musician who tries to force the melody and loses the beauty, while the one who opens up to the flow becomes an instrument of the music. The quantum field seeks tuned instruments, not tense minds. Trust in quantum time is essential here. Human time measures days, months, years. Quantum time measures alignments. When the vibration is ready, the collapse happens. It doesn't matter if, in the eyes of the calendar, it seems early or late. In the field, it is always exact. And when you open up to the receptive energy, you discover that what seemed distant was already ready to manifest, waiting only for your vibrational permission. Therefore, today, you're invited to let go of the weight of desire and embrace the lightness of reception. To live as if what you seek already exists in your life. To act not from lack, but from the certainty that the field has already responded. When you change your energetic posture, the universe reorganizes everything around you. And it is in this space of trust that the invisible finds a way to become visible. In the quantum field, you don't need to become someone different, because all versions of you already exist in superposition. There is no struggle to conquer a new identity. There is only the remembrance that it is already available in the infinite spectrum of being, just as all radio waves are in the air, just waiting for you to choose which station you want to listen to. So too does your quantum identity already vibrate in frequencies ready to be accessed. The mistake of the linear mind is to believe that it needs to get there or transform into something distant. But at the quantum level, there is no distance. There is only vibrational choice. When you tune into the frequency of abundance, you immediately access the version of yourself that already lives in abundance. When you tune into the frequency of confidence, you access the version of yourself that already walks with firmness. It is not about creating something new, but about changing the channel. Visualize yourself in front of a cosmic dial, slowly turning it until you find the perfect station. By tuning into the right frequency, your whole body responds. Your mind calms down, your heart expands, your energy reorganizes. You begin to think, feel, and act like this already existing version. And the more you stay in this tune, the more the field responds with circumstances that mirror this new identity. This change of station is not just mental, it is energetic. You can practice it now by imagining yourself as someone who already receives, already lives, already experiences what you desire, not as a distant dream, but as a present reality. See yourself walking as this version. Feel the different weight in your steps, the distinct shine in your eyes, the quiet confidence in your breath. This is not fantasy, it is quantum activation. The field does not respond to what you desire, but to what you vibrate as identity. If you continue to see yourself as someone who still doesn't have, the field mirrors the lack. But if you dare to assume the identity of who you already are now, the field has no choice but to align reality with that vibration. This is the law of entanglement. The inside and the outside always dance on the same frequency. Assuming your quantum identity is also an act of courage. It means letting go of old narratives, abandoning labels that no longer serve, shedding masks, created to fit in small places. It is to rise up and declare, I am this version now. Even when your eyes do not see it, the field already recognizes it, and the entire universe begins to conspire in favor of this choice. Allow yourself to tune in consciously today. Adjust your frequency, like someone adjusting the radio until you find clarity. Do not accept more static. Do not accept more distortion. The version of you that already lives the dreamed reality is calling, and it is up to you alone to decide if you will turn the dial until you hear it clearly. This decision is not just symbolic, it is creative, for each tuning collapses a world. Now you know, your identity is not fixed, but a field in motion. And every time you change your tune, you reorganize not only yourself, but the entire universe around you. Because at the quantum level, by changing who you are, you change everything that is. Up to this point, you have been led on a path that seemed individual, intimate, secret. But now it is time to understand that your awakening is not just about you. The quantum field knows no boundaries between one being and another, because we are all entangled. Every vibration of yours echoes in many others. Every frequency you sustain multiplies into invisible waves, reaching those who may never know your name. but who will be touched by your light. The quantum awakening is collective. Just as a single star illuminates the night and inspires entire constellations, your personal shine awakens in others the memory of who they are. When you rise in confidence, you authorize others to do the same. When you tune into abundance, you open the way for more hearts to believe as well. There is no individual act that does not reverberate in the whole, because we are united by the same network of light that sustains the universe. You are not brought to this moment just to transform yourself. You are called to be a channel, to be a bridge, to be an echo of the universal consciousness on Earth. With every thought you choose to sustain, with every act you manifest in alignment, you send signals to the field, and these signals become entangled with millions of others. This is how the collective awakens, one by one, until it becomes all. Now feel the summons. It is not chance that you are here. It is quantum synchronization. The portal is already open, and you have been called to cross it. Not just for yourself, but for all those who depend on your light to remember who they are. You are part of a wave that cannot be contained, a tide of consciousness that has already begun to flood reality. Therefore, this message does not end with you. It needs to be expanded. Sharing is not just an external gesture. It is fulfilling the spiritual purpose of being a channel so that others may also awaken. By sending this transmission, you become a living extension of the quantum field, allowing the symphony to continue playing in more hearts. Remember, the field responds to what is repeated, to what is reinforced. Rewatching this message is not redundancy, it is ritual. Each time you return to it, you reinforce the frequency, deepen the tuning, and strengthen the identity that has already awakened in you. Thus, you not only listen, but you embody, vibrate, and manifest. Now is the moment of choice, to remain as a spectator or to respond as a co-creator, to remain in the known or to cross the portal. The call has already been made, the field has already opened the way. All that is missing is your decision to say yes to what is already yours. And so I call upon you, share this message, spread this call, become the voice of the quantum field in the world. You are not alone. We are many. We are a network. We are the creative vacuum itself, remembering itself through each of us. This is the end, but it is also the beginning. For upon crossing this portal, you do not go back. You only expand, and the entire universe expands with you.